Hey guys, DMS here today. I have for you a comparison between the Liquid Spark, the JDS Labs Atom, and the Schiit Magni 3. These three are $100 budget amps, but which one is right for you? Let's find out. So these all put out a very similar amount of power, and I'm not going to go into that too much because honestly, as far as power is concerned, all three of these are going to get the job done just fine, and I think you should be a little bit more concerned about the other features like sound. So I already have reviews out on the Magni 3 and the JDS Labs Atom. I don't have a review out on the Liquid Spark, but I think a lot of the things that we cover in this video will count. So let's get into build. First off, without even a question of a doubt, the Liquid Spark is the best built out of these three amps, and the Atom is a little bit lacking. This is plastic, could be a little bit better, but for the tech we're getting in here, it's not bad. The Liquid Spark has all of its buttons on the front, which is nice, including power and a gain switch. The volume knob is one of the best that I've ever felt in an amplifier, period, which is insane. And on the back we have power as well as RCA in and RCA out for a preamp. Now the Atom also has all its buttons on the front, including a gain switch, an input selector, the power, which is in the potentiometer, and the potentiometer for volume. Now it's not a crazy nice potentiometer. I'd rate it at the same level as that of the Magni, so nothing too crazy there. But it is nice to have all of our switches on the front, and since it has an input selector, that means it has two inputs. It has a 3.5mm as well as RCA in, and then RCA out for a preamp. And then the Magni has RCA in, RCA out, and power with its switches on the back, a little bit of a downside, and on the front is the headphone jack and the volume knob. Now, downside of the Magni's switches on the back is it ends up the weight for the switches is greater than the weight of the Magni. So unless you have something on top of this or have it bolted down somehow.
What are you doing to that amp?
If you lift up on these switches without pressing on the amp, you're going to lift the amp off the table. And this goes for the power switch and for the low gain switch. So that's kind of annoying. But I would put Magni right in the middle on build. The build does feel nice and premium. I just wish that they had maybe done that a little bit differently. Now moving on from there, let's talk about the upside and downside of these amplifiers. So the thing about the Magni is a raw powerhouse, but it does have some compression, especially if you are running a DAC with a higher output. So you may end up with a little bit less dynamic range, and some other people reported the same thing, but it's honestly not too bad. So out of the three, the Atom is definitely the best on paper as far as technicalities go. This thing is ridiculously transparent, which explains why they made the sacrifice in having a plastic body, because there is a decent amount of tech going into this thing. Now the Spark, on the other hand, took a step away from transparency and is a bit more of a colored sound. I actually have it plugged up right now, which is why I'm not holding it up and waving it around, but the Spark actually sounds a little bit rolled off in the highs. Not hard, but just enough to make it a little bit more of a mid-forward sounding amplifier. I also found that it tends to have a slightly faster sound, which is very reminiscent, I think, of the sound a lot of people liked from the NFB11s and the R2R11s. So really, for me, it's more of a competition between the JDS Labs Atom and the monoprice Liquid Spark, and it comes down to a few things. One, how much do you care about build? If you care a lot about build, then you should probably go with the Liquid Spark. Do you care a lot about transparency? You should probably go with the Atom. And here's a little list of a few headphones that I would pick with either one depending on how it sounds. So Mod House Argon, I think would be fine with either. I enjoyed Argon a little bit more with the Liquid Spark because it relaxed it just a bit more in the highs, but it was still excellent with the Atom, and I think I would say Atom for gaming or analytical listening with Argon, and then Spark with Argon for relaxed listening. MDR1A I would definitely take with the Atom. You can see back here, the LCD2s, I would take the LCD2s with Atom. I would take the LCD2Cs probably also with Atom. I would take the DT880 600 ohm probably with Liquid Spark. Focal Lex really sounded exceptionally transparent on Atom and sounded a little bit more relaxed on Spark, so it could go for either depending on how you liked it. And then 58X That was a very similar story. 58X isn't super amp dependent, but the coloration difference between these amps was enough that it did sound more transparent on Atom and a bit more colored and fun on the Liquid Spark. They're both very good sounds, and because the Liquid Spark is colored, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a clear or transparent sound, but it's definitely not quite as transparent as the Atom, though I think in terms of overall detail, they're within the same ballpark. So really it comes down to this. There isn't a bad choice out of these amps. All three are great amps for $100, and all three are going to serve people who are looking for something different. You know, I find it really amazing. If you were to get amps like this, maybe a decade ago, they would be easily 10 times the price. It's crazy how cheap good audio is getting, and it actually kind of led me up to a subject I'm going to be talking about in the near future, which is really how far do you need to go in audio these days? Because budget audio is getting so good. Anyway, I'm not going to get on that rant yet. That is for a future video. That's all I got for you guys today. If you like this video, please leave a like down below and a comment letting me know what you want to see in the future. If you want to support the channel and get early access to my reviews, you can check out the Patreon linked in the video description, and don't forget to stick around and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Till the next one, guys. Peace.